Uh, yeah. So I know I pretty much promised my own self to not talk about Switch 2 stuff. However, as you may guess, I'm breaking that promise. And for good reason. And to be fair, it is good reason because there are a lot of situations I do kind of want to talk about with this situation. Situation, fuck. But it's because it's been interesting to say the least. And there was this like a weird thing as well, a part of it, which for me, which was me commenting on another video, of course, through a different account and all that. And of course, just to clarify before we get started, I'm not trying to go after the guy or anything. I'm not even going to say the guy's name of the person who created the video, nor anything. I'm not making a big deal of that. However, the reason why that was the final push for me to make this video is I do want to kind of talk about this, um, which is the fact that weirdly enough, people are not really. There are a few. I don't think a lot, but there are a few Switch 2 haters, to be perfectly honest, who are now basically making up weird conspiracy theories against Nintendo about them fudging or messing up the numbers and stuff. And I don't know about that, man. Like, that is pretty interestingly weird and stuff. And like I said, I am not going after the person in this video or not because A, honestly, I don't care about it. In fact, so much so that it's a very interesting situation that I even had to delete my comment on that. Not because of any real reason, it's just because I didn't care because of what I discovered, what he did. And also, to be frank, it's also because really I don't think we need to see two grown ass guys argue over a freaking video game console. That's like literally two children arguing over a toy. I'm not that willing to do that. Plus, also, ever since all my years in so far my years, which I think I can say this on this platform, I learned to be a little bit way more humble nowadays, especially due to it's kind of interesting because the guy in who did this situation was kind of being similar to what I used to do a little bit. I don't do it anymore because I was taught not to, but it is a very interesting situation, which is why I'm more sympathetic and understanding, but at the same time, I question this thing. So um, for context, there was this video, which I'm not going to say the name, and again, I am not going to say the guy's name because who cares? And he did this video about him questioning why people were, buying this Nintendo Switch and stuff. It was the usual Joe Smo, nothing too major. The video was, I mean, I didn't watch it all the way. I did try, but it was just like really hard to watch. But it was fine. It was like the editing was fine. It's nothing too major. Who gives a damn? To be fair, at least it's a little bit more better than ironically his previous video because I did see his previous video for another Switch 2 thing. And it's a little bit more better, to say the least. I won't say who the guy is. He did a little bit more editing with that. And he also did another video which I haven't even dared to look even in the comment section because I don't care about it. And it's pretty clear he is extremely upset at the situation about people buying Switch 2 and stuff. He's like calling out all the fakes, which we'll get to that in a bit, which is like the only thing that is kind of correct in some way, but there's explanations to that as well. And of course, he's like saying that he literally, at the very beginning of the video, is the fact that he's basically saying that Nintendo is messing up the numbers or lying. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's it. Goodbye. And to be fair, like I said, I have seen one of his videos before, actually watched it in full, which is why I couldn't watch his video again. Because to be fair, I won't, like I said, I won't talk about this guy. I won't really say his name or what his video is about, but I see like there's a little bit of his channel being one of those conspiracy theories channels kind of thing and stuff. Like, it's very weird, and I'm trying my hardest not to name drop this guy because I don't want to cause any more chaos or anything, because this is not really even the point of the video, to say the least. Especially since, again, I do not care. It's just what ended up happening was I have one of my sister channels, Loot Bunny Gangster. So what I decided to do was, you know what, I'll just post a very funny 2-cent comment, which is, you know, something that I had done before. It was nothing offensive. I just jokingly he said 6 days later, because the video was out for 6 days, 6 days later, as shown in the news, the Nintendo Switch sold a lot of money. Like, they sold a lot of units. And I was like, and the only thing I did say was, it feels like literally that these people don't seem to, when they admit their own defeat, or basically say they don't admit when they're wrong in some way, to say the least. And of course, there was this number. Then I went back to doing my own business, you know, usual. And then I went back to comment and see how it went out. And of course, there was another person who complained about something about his thing, and it was like general comment, nothing major. Although he said something funny about the whole people having beards offending this thing, and I'm like, and this is the only hint I'm gonna give out, but it's like, this guy has a beard as well right now, a fake one, but he has a beard right now, so your comment is invalid in some jokeable way. But I was like, you know what? I was just going to go ahead and put out the facts. You know, I decided I wanted to do a nicer conversation. So I jokingly decided to, first, I tried to post a link to the Nintendo Life page about the situation of how much it's being sold. You know, just straightforward start of a conversation saying, hey, how will you explain this then? And then, of course, I found out that I couldn't comment on that thing, which I thought, okay, maybe he blocked links from that situation. So I decided to play a little bit smarty and jokingly just literally copy and paste the thing. And I did try to give credit too, by the way, of that. Like, it's very hard to do copy and paste. But I copy and paste the article and, you know, put it as a comment, because you can basically make a novel in the comment section for some fucking reason. I don't know. But basically, again, it didn't go through. And then I'm like, okay, it's either A, he's word blocking, which is something that no one knows in the terms of YouTube, or B, he also shadow blocked me. Like, he probably shadow blocked me. I was like, really? You shadow blocked me? Or something? And again, I totally get it. I really totally get it. Like, it's hard sometimes when, you know, you get these comments from people who, they might be right, they might be wrong, who knows, but they get mean about it. And I wasn't trying to be mean, and I do apologize if that comment was mean, because, you know, I was in a jokeable way, and to be fair, the joke wasn't even that bad, but hey, it was a joke, so maybe he was offended by the joke in some way, because really, I was just pointing out the obvious, because it was an outdated video too, because it really, like, it was 6 days during which but it's super weird because it seems like he kind of started blocking people who points out the obvious, being the fact that the Switch are selling and stuff, and he was probably denying it. I don't know. And again, I'm not dropping this guy's name because I've been in his shoes once, where, of course, you have to deal with stuff. I learned from experience that people do not like that for some odd reason, to say the least. That doesn't mean you still need to do blocking and stuff. If the person is becoming way too crazy, say, like in the past, there was once a person who doxed a person on my channel. If you remember that situation, go ask GP Reads. Yeah, I had to block them for that crazy thing, mofo crap. But, you know, if it's like a certain situation, really, it's kind of a reason why I'm more forgiving in some ways when I did talk about the Switch 2 and my thoughts on it. And I even give like credit to this one guy who corrected me about the whole video game that Mario Kart World wasn't the first in something. Like you probably already know. So it's not like I get there is problem, and I've been through this before, and I still hold the tensions that there are problems. In fact, it's actually one of the reasons why I want to do a video about this because I feel like there is a problem with people also criticizing the Switch 2 a little bit way too far. But for once, can you at least like let people talk about their opinions? I mean, I can respect people's opinions, and that's the interesting part. I have been on record saying that I understand there's problems with the Switch 2, and I get where people are coming from with the Switch 2. High price, a little bit bad, especially since many people are thinking like this is going to cause a $2,000 game to come out of thin air, which, to be fair, is exaggeration, but it is kind of accurate what's going on here. And, they were upset with the game key cards, which is shown that they're not selling as expected, so not a big deal. Digital games and, the game preserving is a big issue right now. And, a lot of other details. Like, even I have my own complaint because I am never going to use that C camera. Like, fuck that C camera because I am afraid of the situation involved. That I am shocked that Nintendo never learned from their swap note crap, to say the least. And look, to be fair, again, I could see the problems. It's just, why cancel out the people who, poke holes out of your conversation, to say the least. And look, like I said, I've been in his shoes before, but it doesn't work. That's why nowadays I don't do that, to say the least. I really actually don't care anymore about people's opinions anymore. I learned that through experience. And even then, sometimes there are very much, very much useful information. I mean, I do agree that maybe people needs to learn how to actually critique things and da-da-da. But for the most part, if it's like a solid opinion that's not causing controversies or anything, and it's not trying to be offensive or calling people out or something like that, call them out in a weird way that isn't like actual call out, or something like totally making fun or offending someone, then it's cool. Like, again, I did allow comments to come on my other Switch 2 videos, because I know people who hates it are going to comment on it. But I learned, hey, to deal with it. I learned how to take it to a max. I actually have grown up through that. But again, that leads into the biggest issue, and that is the fact that I do question why people are really upset and going overboard over a video game console. Like, I do see some of the situation, but I don't know why they're upset at the people who are buying these things and stuff. Like, I've been through this situation before. I actually did talk about this. But the main thing is about this, other than the fact that, again, I don't know why people want to keep hating on people, trying to stop them by calling them dumbasses. That's literally what they try to do. Again, there was this another YouTuber, again, no dropping names, like, it sticks to my mind too every time. There's this other YouTuber that jokingly said in an offensive tone, "Oh man, Nintendo should make a freaking, make a freaking donation box for these dumbasses." And I'm like, really? You're trying to convince people to not buy this thing, and you're calling them dumbasses? How is that going to go far? That's the most dumbest shit ever. I've seen worse, of course, but that's like still dumb on that level. Like, even I have said dumb stuff, but not like in the streams of that. That's like the weirdest thing that really showed your argument fell. And it's not just like that, though. The biggest issue I don't think people are understanding is, do you not understand the words normal Joe Smo? Because really, normal people are not really going to usually care about what a YouTuber's opinion on the subject cares, because they're not probably there for those type of videos and stuff. And I'm going one step further. I'm not saying like actual online people. I'm talking about the normal majority of society. Like, society do not care. They got more realistic, serious issues to worry about. They got to worry about the government, how the government is being bullshit right now. How, of course, money's things, which admittedly it seems like they don't care because they still buy outlaw switches. Admittedly, that is a weird thing. But really, they don't care about these situations. They gotta worry about jobs. They gotta worry about literally, like, just general real life. Go out to live your life. Heck, even like a recent video done by Penguin Zero, aka Moist Critical, or yeah, I think it's Moist Critical how he goes by it, but it is of course Penguin Zero. He jokingly says that he jokingly also has been moving away from drama and living real life. So it's not really, it's really not like people are not listening. They're just not caring. They just want to buy their Switch. They just want to buy the Switch too. It's the newest game console. And to be fair, Nintendo did play smart. Like, yeah, a little bit too smart to be smartasses, being the fact that they did jokingly blocked reviewers from purchasing their games early, do reviews, which is a true thing. They stopped review copies or review systems. But hey, it works, so you gotta be honest with that. And be fair, that's what companies usually do. You're gonna have to fucking deal with it and stuff. Like, and it's, yeah, it sucks, but you know, it's what they do. And even then, it's just the fact that also they know that the people who buying this, it ain't just grandmas or babies, it's just normal people who just want a brand new system. That's it. People buy a lot of new phones all the time, having 50 of them. So, you know, and again, I get why people are upset with this. The main issue I'm having is, why are people making up a conspiracy theory here? Like, my real thing is, why make up the conspiracy theory? Like, do you know what's in the company to confirm there's false advertising or stuff? And to be fair, Nintendo has been even honest about it. They've even been honest about the game key cards situation. So has other companies. So, and again, the game key card, congratulations, it's not selling. I mean, of course, that was a duh. That was always going to be a duh because people were super confused with that situation. And of course, again, the preserving and stuff. It's super weird. Again, and I want to make this crystal clear. I really do understand. I know I keep repeating that, but I do understand there are situations. I even have a gripe of my own involving the cameras. But at the same time, you're going to have to deal with people wanting to buy the Switch. And as for also the people who are buying them, who were also Switch haters buying them, which is a real thing, obviously, which doesn't surprise me because it's something basically similar to hate watching a show that you don't like. It's basically hate buying. Which, yeah, it's fucked up, but hey, you know, they have to make content and stuff. And that's the thing that really, you know, really weirds me out. Like, because my main point of the issue here is, I feel like this is a bad look at video game people in general. Because there are, you know, there are actually better attempts of showcasing the problems with the issues of video gaming. There's even a guy who made a petition to, you know, to stop this companies from doing it in the wrong way, such as trying to shut off your system or a because you don't actually own the system or something like that. You know, stop fighting gamings. Yeah, that means I definitely been paying attention to Penguin Zero, believe it or not. And, you know, that's a more honest approach. That is a more honest approach, to say the least. But the way things are looking, people who are complaining like this, calling people who are buying the system dumbasses, they're looking pathetic. Like, again, for the millionth time, I understand their complaints. But if you're going to present your complaints, you're going to have to be very nice about it or pretty much straightforward. You have to listen to both sides, to say the least. And look, I know that coming from a person who, like, literally has dealt with his own issues, but that's something I have learned throughout the main course of my life when doing this situation. doing YouTube and all that. You gotta listen to both sides of the spectrum here, like both parties and all that, because it's not like it's a big deal. Again, the even big cherry on top of this whole thing is this is a gaming console. It's not a part of your essential life at all. Like, I haven't even gotten to Switch 2. I'm willing to admit that. I am still going to try to get it, but not now. It's not my important goal right now. Because, again, I'm more focused on real life things. I'm focused on jobs and stuff. It's just, I feel like people really just need to just drop it. And in the end, it will be dropped. I mean, I feel like the Switch 2 is going to be successful. Again, I do see also like people saying like this is going to be a Wii U situation. But in the end, it is selling. And yes, I do agree that we have to wait until months. But if it's selling already up to 1 million units or something like that, and is becoming the fastest selling console and ready to beat out freaking PlayStation 2 of all things, or Wii. Okay, look, I don't think it's not gonna sell. I think it's just gonna be successful and all that. And the way how Nintendo has been playing it out, they've been doing it smart. Like, they really have been playing it smart on how they've been doing it. Probably a bit too smart because they're being like smart asses, and I'm willing to admit that because, again, really shady and dumb that they thought it was a good idea to hold back review systems. Like, the plan worked, and I do get it, but they didn't account to the fact that that looks like fucking shady and all of that. That's a fact that we cannot deny that. But everything else, and including that, I guess, works perfect. Like, seriously, in the end of the day, it's just a gaming console and stuff. And really, I don't think, again, it goes without saying, like I've been saying, no one should be shaming people for that. Like, heck, I even talked to my brother last weekend after we did that Marvel video about the situation, and he was like in agreement because he doesn't like the Switch 2 either. He does not like it. He is a hater of that. But he's not like a true-on hater because he understands, like, people like me wants to buy that thing. And he's like, yeah, I agree. I don't think there should be this much backlash over a game console. And even saying further, something that turns out he agreed with me on this, people are allowed to choose what they want to buy. It's their own business. They should not be shamed for buying a freaking video game console. That is literally the most saddest shit ever, to say the least. Something at least. Like, especially if the company has not done anything truly wrong right now, to say the least. It's not the same situation like Activision Blizzard where it did humane crimes, literally humane crimes. Nintendo is just selling a product. That's all they're doing. They're just selling a product. And if you're looking past this, then I'm sorry, but we have to agree to disagree. And really, I think that's my biggest point of this video. I know I did a whole rant, but I just gotta get out of this. I just had to pull out of this. I feel like I need to make a video and post it. Is this going to be the stupidest thing I did? Probably. But still, I just want to make a discussion of this. Like, because again, I think the lesson here is, one, accept people's opinions, and if you agree to disagree, then you're super fine, which I think is key. Because again, I do not hate the person. I just agree to disagree with the person. That's fine. I mean, I don't know why he deleted that comment. He deleted or shadow blocked me. I did delete the comment myself, actually. I will admit that. After I found out I couldn't comment any further because he blocked me or something like that. I think it was a shadow block. But I was willing to disagree entirely. It wasn't even a big deal. But I do agree, you have to agree to disagree with people, and that's it. You don't need to make up conspiracy theories. And also, again, just don't hate on people who buy the Switch 2. Like, get over it. It's just a gaming console. I do agree. It sucks balls that it costs a lot and there are a few problems with it. But people have bought the PlayStation 5 of that price and they're not complaining about it, to say the least. I mean, there probably was complaining about it back then, but it was as big as this. to say the least, and it's just weird to say the least. And I mean PlayStation 5, not PlayStation 5 Pro. That's a different can of worms because that is weird stupidity there. So, I don't know. But anyways, I just want to make a video about this. Snapping out here. Enjoy your life. I think the biggest thing is we need to do what Moist Critical did. Go outside and touch grass. I actually do. Although I also touch concrete because I go outside walking down my street. But still. We all need fresh air. Snapping out of here. Bye.